What's up, Attacking Third YouTube? Thanks for hanging with us. We are chatting UEFA Women's Champions League. I'm Lisa Carlin, alongside former NWSL champion Darian Jenkins and former Scottish international and an Arsenal legend, Jen Beattie, because we are talking Arsenal against Barcelona in the Women's Champions League final. It's a one-off match taking place May 24th, 12 p.m. Eastern Time in Lisbon. And this is an insane game. I mean, the quarterfinals, the semis, building up to this final now between Arsenal and Barcelona. Jen, for Arsenal, it's the first time they've been back in a final since they won it 18 years ago. It means so much for them.
It means so much. And you know what? It was an absolute pleasure to be there in Lyon, you know, the moment that they knew that they'd made it through. And you're right, 18 years, it's been such a long time. And I have to shout out Kim Little. She signed the year after they won it. So to go on and get player of the match in the semi-final against Lyon, to make her first ever Champions League final, is a huge moment for her, all the players, all the staff, but it does not get much bigger than getting Barcelona.
How did it feel to give Kim Little her player of the match?
It was awesome. Like, she's one of my best mates. I grew up, you know, we were in youth teams with Scotland national team. Arsenal from such a young age. She's, you know, one of my longest teammates ever, let alone best mate. So it was a pleasure, and you know, she deserves it. What a player. She's 35 this summer, and she's still in her prime. I've said it before.
She looks 24.
Absolutely.
Never guess.
She's unreal.
You mentioned it. I mean, the fact that Arsenal now gets to play against Barcelona, two of the top three most historic, most crowned champion clubs in Europe. It may seem like a tall task for Arsenal to beat Barcelona, but Jen, you did it. We went deep in the archives on Instagram to find this for you.
I love the filter.
Yeah,
this is old Instagram.
Tell us what's happening
the
here.
Trimmings here. Look, you said you're going to bring up pictures. I had no idea what to expect, but this is old school. We got Ellen White, Steph Houghton on the left, and then obviously Kim Little. So yeah, good old times. I'm not sure if they'll be playing. Yeah, the game will obviously be in Lisbon, but yeah, good old times.
Look at this, September 2012.
That's insane.
So this tie has a lot of history behind it, but for two sort of iconic clubs in the European game, they've already played each other 4 times in European football. Okay, how many pictures are coming up here? Wow, I look young.
It's a bit. Look at your baby face.
Yeah, baby face. This was back 2012 when I think this was actually Barcelona's first year in the Champions League. So fast forward another, I'm terrible maths, another 15 years recently. The tie was much different. We won, I think, over 2 legs and then lost recently when the likes of Ashwala was playing number 9 and the likes of Bonmati, Putellas are coming through the ranks now. And it's this Barcelona team it'll be one of the hardest games Arsenal have played this season. But, you know, can they do it? Of course they can.
Well, I mean, you did it. Speaking from you, you're like, yeah, can they do it? Of course, because I did it. It's a little different now, though, right? Both of these teams have gone through a lot of transformation. It's now only a one-legged final, right? You said you beat them over 2 legs. That changes a lot of things. Does it make it more difficult for Arsenal?
I think it'll benefit Arsenal, if I'm completely honest. I think Arsenal, with the history of their Champions League so far, coming back from a 2-goal deficit against Real Madrid, the same against Lyon, losing 2-1 at home. I think you want to play Barcelona once.
Yeah.
You have to have the utmost respect for them. And I think we all know the qualities that this side can bring. And also, Arsenal have had a couple of injuries. Seeing Alessia Russo being back fully fit is a huge boost for them as well. Chloe Kelly being back probably into the starting 11, which we'll get into it in a second. But I think the form to go from Arsenal's really difficult start of the season, right, under Jonas Eidevall, who's obviously in NWSL now, really struggled, lost a couple of games. So to now be in a Champions League final, it's a huge moment for them.
And Arsenal going up against arguably the biggest dogs in Europe. Barcelona, they've won it back-to-back years. They've won the Champions League 3 times in their last 4 years, Darian. And they don't really look like they've missed a beat at all this year.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jen. I've got to rock Barcelona on this one. This team has scored 44 goals in the Champions League. They started off with a loss to Man City 2-0, and then after that had just bullied teams. They bullied Chelsea 4-1 each match, and they don't look like they're slowing down. I feel like they're not being 2 legs also can hurt Arsenal because Arsenal's been the team that has to come back after going down in the first. Right. But Barcelona, how do you stop everybody? Bonmati, Botellas, Graham Hansen. I mean, I could list their whole
let's do it. Let's take a look at the projected lineup, Darian. That way you can purely list all of the 11 players that might start for Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean, even Claudia Pina, I think a player that is very underrated, scored the most goals for Barcelona with 10 already in the Women's Champions League. And this is a team that I think just is relentless in the attack. And the way that they're sending so many numbers forward, I think might pin Arsenal back. It's going to be tough to break out of that because they can regain the ball so quickly. Yes, do I think as Arsenal has an advantage on the counter, maybe on set pieces? Absolutely. But the team is just so stacked and in such good form right now.
Darian, you're spot on. I think the Barcelona game that they want to play is possession-based in Arsenal's half, right? But it's the strongest back 4 or 5, I think I would say, with Emily Fox. I think I have to point her out, obviously an American, and her recovery runs has just been incredible. You look at her up against De Mornay and Chawinga at Lyon. She was recovering running for 90 minutes. Van Domselaar, #1 jersey, back in the net.
That's huge for them to have her back.
Huge boost. And I think based on what Darian you were just saying, they want to play possession-based football in Arsenal's half, leaving a whole half of the field ready to attack it. And that's the one vulnerability that I can see this Barcelona side maybe having that Arsenal can exploit.
Yeah, it's being a little too confident in the attack when you have the likes of a Chloe Kelly, a Caitlin Ford, Alessia Russo, who can come at you. And I think when they leave Paredes and Mapi Leon back there, yes, they're really good defenders, but they want to be on the ball. They want to be helping to build. So that counter measure, I don't know if is always going to be there. And I feel like that is the way that Arsenal could hurt them.
Diani caught them once.
Yes.
I think the Lyon game, home at Emirates, Diani caught them once. They didn't get the press right. Counter measures from a corner were poor as well. But it's also this matchup, Graham Hansen against Katie McCabe. I think her technical ability, 1v1, she's one of the best. You almost said her.
Yep.
She's one of the best.
Yeah, I tried to throw her in earlier. I was like, shoot, that's later.
And Katie McCabe has done really well against Diani, I think. Her defensive attributes have just grown and grown naturally, more of a forward player, but solidified that left-back space for the past couple of seasons for Arsenal. It's going to be a huge final for her up against Graham Hansen.
Do you think with Arsenal, maybe the game plan going against Barcelona is just to be really physical? Because I think when teams match Barcelona and hit them a little bit harder when they are on the ball, it really shakes up, especially that midfield. I think Bonmati and Putellas kind of get in their heads a little bit when there's that physicality.
Do you know what? I do think that's really interesting, because when I was looking again at I'll reference the Lyon games, looking at that midfield for Lyon where it was Lindsay Heaps and, De Mornay again had dropped into that midfield, but you had Little, Caldente, Frida Manum ready for it. Any time it came central, they were. So I think, yes, to answer your question, they'll sacrifice a little possession, drop a little bit deeper, but when anything comes central, force it wide.
Yeah.
Nothing, because they know that's where the likes of Payer, those runs in behind, lethal. Pina's going to constantly drift inside. She's not an out-and-out winger. She's going to drift inside, similar to Bonmati, dominate that midfield, and it's where you likes of Kim Little needs to step up, what she has done game after game. Alessia Russo dropping in to defend and really making that centre of the field really compact, leaving nothing central. Don't give them any space in the central space.
And if Kim Little has a fraction of the game that she had against Lyon, they're going to be okay. She did so much in that game to control every aspect of the tempo, where the ball was going. And these are just the projected 11s. We still have potentially Salma Parayuelo coming off the bench for Barcelona. Hit them when they're down, Darian. It doesn't get any harder than that.
I mean, both of these teams, you look at the first subs off the bench at like a Beth Mead, a Salma Parayuelo, and you're like, God damn, when is this going to slow down? And I love this matchup because I don't think it's going to slow down at all. I do think if Arsenal has a chance, I'm saying there's a chance, they need to have a perfect game like they did against Lyon and really capitalize on Barcelona.
You're saying there's a chance, but
I'm saying there's a chance, but I'm going 90% of the way with Barcelona.
Okay, so let's hear it. That's your prediction. Barcelona in this one-legged final.
I'll give Barcelona, I'll say 2-1, Barca.
Okay. Jen?
Arsenal have to play the perfect game. I'm going to give the utmost respect to Barcelona, but I have to go with 1-0 Arsenal.
She's a loyal babe.
For you. You should.
They
You
got to play the
should be
perfect
doing
game.
that.
I know they can do it.
They would come after you if you didn't say that either.
I would have my WhatsApp would be blowing up.
It's hard, though, because Arsenal just played the perfect game. And to do that back-to-back when they've struggled in leg ones of this Champions League playoffs so far in the semis and the quarter, I'm going to give the upper hand to Barcelona. But I think it'll be narrow, 1-0 in this one for Barcelona.
Just one?
Just one.
Narrow final.
Narrow
I'll be there, so I'll report back.
Oh.
Okay?
I love it. I love it. Well, don't forget the UEFA Women's Champions League, May 24th at 12 p.m. Eastern. Barcelona looking to do it for the third time in a row. Arsenal looking for their first Champions League trophy in 18 years. Thanks for watching on Attacking Third YouTube. We're here all the time, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. Eastern, and following the NWSL weekend for all your recaps.